Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're in the right place at the right time. Today is Tuesday, and it is the first Tuesday of 2024. And I'm so excited that you guys are joining me on today for the first show of the year of the Ask Dr. Ron show. I'm so excited. It is a new year. And we got so much to look forward to in the new year, and I'm just glad that you all choose to hang out with me. My guest is in the green room, one of my favorite guests. She is back with me, a media mogul herself. And, we planned this last year that she would help me with the first show of the year. And we're going to talk about what's going forward into the new year, what we're going to be doing, and how we expect to entertain you all, because what we do is considered entertainment. So before we get started, I always have to give a shout out. This is a tradition that I'm never ever going to give up. I always like to give a shout out to my mentor, Dr. Hunt. Dr. Hunt and I have been traveling in life together for 30 plus years. And out of the 30 plus years that we have been traveling together, he has been a blessing to both me and my family, as well as I have been a blessing to him and his family. Now, the importance of having a mentor, which is what it's all about. This is the opening message of every show. Everybody needs to have several mentors. People that are experts in various areas that can be a blessing to you in your life, as well as you can be a blessing to them in their life. So get a mentor, somebody you can trust, somebody you can count on, somebody that'll take your calls. How about that? And then be there to help you no matter what. And then I want you to get a show in 2024. Get a show so you can shout your mentor out. All right? I want to invite you guys to go over to my website, ask-dr-ron.com. When you get over there, I want you to first notice that you can click on the Watch Live, and in real time, watch the show in real time, okay? Right now, as it's happening, if you go over to my website, you'll be able to watch the show, as well as you can watch it on YouTube Live. And then the next thing I want you to notice, that I have advertisers. As you see here, I have a list of some. RRJ Web. If you have a website and it's broken, it won't do what it's supposed to do, you can go to RRJ Web and he can help you fix your broken website. If you have an idea or a concept that you would like to bring to the world, he can help you build your website. So RRJ Web is a complete shop that can help all solutions. Website design and maintenance. Definitely reach out to them. Okay? Sir Synergy. Sir Synergy is helping people with their solar panel needs. If you have a business or a home and you would like to find out how solar panels can be a benefit to you and your business, reach out to Sir Synergy. They are helping people install, understand how solar panels can be a blessing in this time where energy costs are going up. They can save you some money. Port Again Sam. Now, Port Again Sam brings in some of the best wines and spirits from all over the world. Now, Sam has been with me for 15 plus years, and I tell you, I enjoy going to visit Sam because Sam always has something that's exclusive that you can't get nowhere else. So you need to definitely reach out to Sam, get a wine tasting so you can find your new favorite wine. Notice I use the word exclusive, so you definitely want to check it out. Prince Hunter Financial Group. Now, the Prince Hunter Financial Group is helping people to learn about the Forex market and the stock market. Now, the stock market is helping make millionaires each and every day. So if you don't know about the stock market and you would like to know about the stock market, I'm going to tell you something. Prince Hunter Financial Group is offering 4 free classes. And out of those 4 free classes, you will get an opportunity to learn about the market. Okay? You get a chance to see and learn something new in 2024. Okay? So like I said before, I have one of my favorite guests on the show. Miss Naimah has been on the show before many times. She has been a lifesaver. I can call her up at the last minute and say, hey, my guest bailed out on me. And she'll say, okay, I'll do it. But that's the attitude of a media mogul. She has several outlets, several shows, and I can't even name them all. But she got me last week. Was it last week?
Yeah, last week I sure did.
Last week she got me up. I was up all night. You know, I was doing some maintenance on my equipment, and she called me up and say, hey, I'm gonna need you in the morning. And I was like, and she don't give me no 2-3 day notice. She calls me with hours notice. Okay, like, I'm gonna need you to come on if you can. Then she put that little if you can on there, and I'm like, I can't say no. You know, because if she ain't coming on my show when I need her, she'll send somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, and we talked about that last couple of weeks ago. One of the people she sent on the show, and I'm like, you know, I tell you, she has been a blessing in 2023, and I'm so looking forward to her being a blessing in 2024. So welcome back to the show.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. And I know that you always have something to say. See, when you call somebody and you need a guest right away, you get somebody that you know they already have something to say. You don't have to like pull teeth to try to get a conversation going. So, I mean, you're the perfect guest because you have ideas, you have thoughts, you're controversial, and you know, I don't have to worry about it
I
being,
like that part you said controversial.
yeah. Don't have to worry about you running out of things to say because you always got a word. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. And she's already got stated topics, you know, so
Oh yeah.
she pigeonholes me, you know, like, okay,
You
we
did
talking about
talk
the
about
eclipse.
relationships. That was a good one.
Yeah, we talking about the eclipse, you know, so you got to stay within the parameters of the solar system. I'm like, okay, I'll stay. I'll stay. You know, but it's a beautiful thing. And like I said, you're a media mogul. So for those that have not been paying attention and been hiding under a rock somewhere, why don't you tell them about some of the, you know, networking that you do? You got like what, 6, 8, 10 shows that you do?
And my goal is to influence the industry because we know that what's the saying? If it bleeds, it leads. And so everybody's out trying to get the latest bad news out there first, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to change the narrative. So our goal is not only to put out the inspirational, motivational, uplifting news, but to also promote others who do the same. So we've got a network of media people who are using the opportunity to reach a global market through the internet, radio, and TV shows to change the image of the inner city, our children, and women and men, and all of the people who usually get a negative rap in the multimedia systems that have influenced our thinking over these past decades. And so my vision is to master all of these platforms, especially because now everybody's carrying around their own personal TV set and they are able to
Absolutely.
watch shows, listen to shows as they drive their car because the phones are connected to the audio system in your car now. So we now have the same power and capabilities to reach multi masses of people. And so the only thing we have to undo is the limitation in our minds. So our vision was to create a uh, online print as well as the visual print publication, to produce a daily radio show and to create a radio network. And we've done all of that. And now our next step is a television network, and we're soon launching that. We've been uploading the videos that we created with our radio TV shows, and we're producing several shows. Now, the one that I started out with, the Media Connection, we've had that on cable TV since, when did we start that? 1999, I think, might have
Mm-hmm.
been the year. Uh, and been producing that show. And of course, once YouTube became popular, we, of course, now have a YouTube channel, the Media Connection TV. We stream live. We're on the spot at events, at press conferences, travel to DC, done interviews overseas in London and Japan and all of that. And so we've taken that show and made it a means of reaching out and doing live shows and being on cable as well as on the internet. And then we wanted to do a podcast. And I had been a regular guest on a show coming out of a radio show coming out of St. Louis because of my book, The Female Solution, which was a controversial book. We talk about that one day. I'm sure we probably talked about that before. But I was trying to address some conflicts within our relationships and how they could be resolved, even though it appears that there are greater numbers of available women than there are numbers of available men because of various social issues. So, in talking about that, in the book itself got to be very well known. And the show, I became a regular guest on a show, and then somebody said, "Why don't you do your own show?" So that's how the Female Solution radio show was born back in what, 2012, I think. And so we're now going on into our, what, 14th year.
Okay.
And as the technology expanded, we combined the visual platform with the audio platform. So now it's radio TV. So the show, the Female Solution Global Radio TV show, has been broadcast in other countries. We've done it live from South Korea, from Japan, from London. We've had hosts that have been, broadcasting out of Jamaica. Um, it's and we've and then we hooked up with a global peace organization, and they've sent me to South Korea to their global peace conference several years, and we broadcast live from there. So we've had a chance to really stretch the boundaries. And we just recently launched our radio network, the On Air Radio Network. And On Air stands for Online Network of Associated Internet Radio Hosts. And
All
we
right.
promote people who are communicating all across the globe, basically with a message to raise consciousness and to help us believe that the world can be better, and then for us to do the things that make it better and stop thinking that
Absolutely.
we're victims and helpless and at the mercy of evil people and all those things that are not true. So we've done those shows, and then of course we're doing a daily news show, just basic news, because we get a lot of news out of Washington, out of the White House, out of the State Department, and out of City Council, and all of that. And we want to keep people informed so they can make intelligent decisions when it comes to who to vote for, what to support, and all of that. Be good citizens. And so we've got On air daily news as a radio show. And
So roughly on a daily basis, how many shows do you actually produce and do on a daily basis? Two, three, four?
I'd say on a daily basis, two on a daily basis.
Okay.
And then on a weekly basis, with the additional ones, because we just added the, we're about to launch a sports show. We've done periodically, and now we're going to do it on a regular basis. We've got a staff of sports reporters, photographers, and all that to cover all the games and everything. And then I've started producing a weekly show with my sisters. We've written a book together. We're writing a book together, and so we wanted to kind of promote some of the ideas that. And it's an autobiographical book called "Growing Up Charles," and it talks about us growing up in a Black South Side neighborhood, and some of the challenges of growing up is not so much about being poor and Black, because that really wasn't our experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was a working class neighborhood, and a lot of things, when I read Michelle Obama's book, I saw a lot of similarities in the experience. But there are things that we live through as Black people in America. It's kind of a coming of age when you realize that you're in a hostile environment in some ways, but you are of the generation that must transform the world in which you live. Because the people before you, they've done all the things. They've done the marches, they've done the protests, they've done the sacrifices, they've worked the 2 and 3 jobs, they've done all the things so that you could get to that point where you become the college educated professional person. You no longer have an excuse. And so
Mm-hmm.
my parents made a lot of sacrifices to raise us in the neighborhood and the household that we grew up in, and even battling their own issues. That it's difficult growing up in Jim Crow America and being taught that you're nothing, and you have to overcome that
Absolutely.
mindset and expose your children to things that would help them to be able to overcome the intentional low self-esteem that has been ingrained in them. And so my parents did a
Yeah.
phenomenal job.
They, they did the best they could
They
to
did the
put
best
you in
they
a
could.
position
Yes,
to be able to do better in your generation
absolutely. And
and equip the generation that's coming after you or us,
to even do
to even push us even further.
right.
So roughly on a week, would you say 8? You say 2 a day, 8 a week, something like that? Just a
Probably
ballpark. I'm
something
just
like,
trying to give people some
yeah,
numbers.
it's probably something like that. And
Okay.
of course, I don't physically have to do all the shows because I got a great group, a great team of people. Uh, my radio, TV hosts every day on the Female Solution, they do a fantastic job with their
Yeah.
subject and the reach of their audience and everything. And then, of course, they got a great team of media professionals that are out there reporting, doing the
Yeah.
photography.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly why I call you a media mogul. See, now people understand. Now let me throw this out there. Now, off air, we have been talking. Last time about Street News Now.
Hmm.
Now, Street News Now is a network that I work with the legendary Lee Michaels.
Yeah.
And we created this, a couple of years ago, and we were doing a show called Six Guys and You.
Hmm.
And on that show, everybody got busy, so they had to branch out and go different places. But I kind of put the network on my back
Mm.
to keep it alive for the last year, where I was doing the noon news commentary,
Hmm.
where I would give news commentary every Wednesday at noon,
Hmm.
once a week. And you and I started talking about rebroadcasting some of your shows
Yes.
on that network. So we got lots of time slots available. We can pick what's best for you and whoever that you assign that to say, go over here and post it over here so it'll replay.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is what, you know, I see as expanding everybody's interest going forward in 2024. And there are others that are doing the same thing. This is something that, you know, Professor Reggie Miles is talking about doing with the music, because he has a platform with the stepping music, and then he does gospel music every morning. And then he does a talk show, you know, various times during the week. And he has called a battle cry or a rallying cry for all of the entities to come together, you know, and let's create a network that's ours. You know, kind of like what Byron Allen is doing. You know, Byron Allen is out there doing that. You had a question, I'm sorry.
Well, you know, that's everybody's getting that inspiration to do that, because you realize that you're more powerful when you have others of like mind who are willing to put forth the effort to create something that you need. And so many people have been working and being a one man or one woman show for so long, and then you realize there's no way you're going to work hard enough to maybe outwork somebody who's got 100 people that they're working with, and then you with your one self, you're going to duplicate what they do. It's impossible. So
Right.
people are figuring out
Let's
the
join
intelligent thing to
forces.
do is to join forces, and all
Right.
you need is the system to do it. That's really all it takes. So
Right.
it's very
Absolutely.
workable. If everybody
Yeah.
gets what they need, then everybody will give what everybody else needs, and that's all.
Yeah. That's just like the Ask Dr.Ron show. I've had several people approach me over the last couple of months to want to replay my show. And I'm like, do it.
Mhm.
I'm giving everybody permission. You know, I'm saying it openly. If you want to replay my shows, go right ahead. You know, because the knowledge and the information is there, and it's going to always be there.
Right.
You know, so, you know, if you want to replay it, go right ahead. It's not going to hurt not one bit to put it in more places. There's some people out there have yet to hear about the Ask Dr. Ron show. But, you know, if they have heard about it, they're regulars. I got a person that called me yesterday, and this is an inspiration, you know, to me anyway. I do a show, I do 4 shows a week. I do a show every Sunday
Mm.
that is called the Black History Moment.
Mm.
And you and I were talking about it, I think, on Saturday, what I was going to say and what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And inadvertently, I said, I'll probably go find a massacre or something that took place. And I did, actually.
Wow. On New
On,
Year's
on,
Day.
on January 1st, 1923, there was a massacre. The Rosewood Massacre took
I
place.
remember that. Yes.
And they made a movie out of it.
Yes.
And then many people have never seen the movie, don't know nothing about the movie, but they made a whole movie about it. There was a town in Florida called Rosewood.
I think the
And there
descendants
was,
recently got paid.
they did. Yeah,
The last living ones. Yeah.
the last descendants. And then I was kind of busting the governor of Florida in the head, because he wanted to try and erase history,
Mm.
you know, just like he wanted to erase how they used to do gator hunting. Did you ever know how they did gator hunting in the
I
Everglades?
heard about them using black babies as babies.
Yes. Okay. So I talked about it, all those kind of things, as our history.
Yeah.
And I make the emphasis that I do not ever want the blood of our ancestors cries out for us never to forget what happened to them. And that's the importance of me talking about the good with the bad. We've had some good things, and we've had horrible things happen to our ancestors.
And let me ask you
So
a question.
hold on, let me finish this point. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Don't lose the thought.
Right.
But I had a young man call me up on the 1st after he had listened to my Black History Moment, and he went and watched the movie because he had never watched the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he got mad all over again.
Mm.
But then he also told me that the town of Rosewood still exists.
Mm.
And he's going to take him and his daughter and go there and visit in Florida where the massacre took place. And he was just letting me know, keep up the good work. We're talking about the things that people have forgotten about. So that was an encouragement to me, because you and I had talked about, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. It's probably a massacre or something. And then it turned out on January 1st, 1923, there was a massacre that I was able to talk about on my Black History Moment. So now going back to your question, do I think what?
Well, I'm glad you made the point about the young man who watched the movie, got angry all over again, to take his daughters there. Because my question is, what do we want to do with the emotions that we feel once we have uncovered atrocities that happened to our ancestors? And the reason why I asked that question is because we're right now seeing in the Middle East, we're seeing what looks like a never-ending war, because you have people who are angry and want vengeance, and then the people who get vengeance, then the people who they got vengeance on want to retaliate. So it never ends, because the people are choosing to not only never forget and never forgive, but never reconcile. And so they carry that anger generation to generation, and both sides are teaching their children that the other side is their natural energy, their natural enemy. So what they're demonstrating to the world is what happens when you will not forgive, and you will not forget, and you will not reconcile, and you will not rebuild something different. It's just an ongoing conflict. There are a lot of people that come to America, recent immigrants, or immigrants from East Europe, other countries, Asia, that didn't have anything to do with the slave trade. And they can't figure out why we are so angry, why we're so angry at white people, and why white people are so afraid of us. They don't know the history of what happened with the enslavement experience. And it's, as you said, you don't want to forget history, but is there a point where we allow it to cripple us because we can't get past the anger and feelings of injustice, and feeling like somebody needs to pay for this, and feeling like victims that are at the mercy of other people's cruelty? There's a point where I think it can be emotionally unhealthy unless we have as an intention for us to build something different, so that we can feel like we control our fate and we're not at the mercy of people who might do that again. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I'm going to use an example in history. And I mentioned this on Sunday when I was doing my Black History Moment. One of the things that the Jews will never, ever let you forget is what happened to them at the hands of Nazi Germany. Every year, 2 or 3 times a year, they're going to bring up what happened to them during their Holocaust. And the reason why they do that is because, now keep in mind that the Jews have been paid over and over and over and over again for what has happened to them and their ancestors. But the reason why they keep that information out there is because if we ever not remember what happened, then it can very easily happen again, destined to happen again. And if it ain't Nazi Germany, it could be somebody else that decides to persecute them as a nation of Jews. Going back to what's going on, modern day war between Hamas and Israel, okay? So there's a point that they make by talking about it as much as they do. I don't ever want my ancestors or my future children or future generations to be a victim of anybody's aggression, attacking them, knowing what they know about a weakness that we might have, and we allowed it to happen to us once, we can be allowed to happen to us again. So I always want my future generations to be aware of what their ancestors went through. Now, we talked about it a minute ago when we said that your parents did what they did to get you to where you are, and you got where you are to push your future generations to where they need to be. But we need to always be aware of what evil lurks around the corner and what evil that can attack us and want to persecute us again.
Well, this is the
Because,
thing. This
mm-hmm,
if my parents had, and they I mean, they did not have a lot of trust of whites. And it just so happened that both of my sisters married men who happened to be Caucasian. So a lot of what they may have feared or resented, they had to face in themselves,
mm-hmm,
and realize they could not carry this anger at random white people because of what may have happened in their past, because these are totally different human beings. And I think it's the same thing with us. If we're believing that if we hold on to a memory of an atrocity or a series of atrocities that happened at the hands of people, many of whom no longer even exist on this earth, then is that intelligent to transfer that distrust and resentment to other people who weren't involved? I mean, there are a lot of people, like I said, who come here from Eastern Europe, Czechoslovakia, Poland, whatever. They weren't involved in the slave trade. They don't know anything about that. And we look at them and say, oh, they're white people and I hate them and I can't trust them. And we don't even understand that they don't understand. Now, they might come here and they learn prejudice, but they weren't involved in that economic system that kept us in a state of servitude by force and gunpoint. However, if we are holding on to feelings of victimhood, then we keep creating that experience of victimhood as opposed to having a strategy of empowerment. One of the things that my parents did was make sure we got educated and had skills and had the courage to challenge some barriers. But if the only thing they could do was, and they gave us Black history and we understood about the lynchings and all that, but the thing about it, you can be paralyzed by that and be projecting emotions at people who weren't even involved in that. And that's not keeping you safe. And I think that's where we got to look at ourselves and say, is our teaching of what happened propelling us to change conditions so that it doesn't happen? Or is it just keeping us in a state of anger and fear and distrust? Because what we should have learned from all of these experiences, number one, don't ever give away your power to someone. Make sure you control your access to information, education, skills gathering. I mean, I'm of the Booker T. Washington philosophy when he was saying we need to master every skill that we need and don't worry about whether or not people accept you socially. If they need your skills, then they're going to pay you because they need your skills. And so that's what his focus was. And then you had others saying, yeah, but we need them to uh, accept us as equals and all that. Well, nobody can accept you as an equal. You have to know you're equal. You have to already know that within yourself. If you're waiting for somebody else to tell you that they accept you, you're going to always be upset because they're going to decide that you're not good enough. And so you put all your energy into making them like you instead of you mastering the skills that would give you the power to take care of yourself. So I look at a lot of, and we've had, there's always been the argument over do we go for equality and civil rights or do we go for more vocational skills and all that sort of thing. The whole Booker T, WEB Du Bois debate and all that. But when we
Mm-hmm.
look at the history of how
Two
we got
different
ahead,
schools of thought. But were they both right or were they both wrong?
they were both right in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that you need both. The mistake was them believing that it was an either or
Scenario.
scenario, when in fact you do have to position yourself so that you are not at the mercy of other people having to take care of you, which is coming out of slavery. If you don't know how to do basic things like build your own home, grow your own food, educate your own children, then you are going to be at the mercy of other people. And at the same time, you want to have the political power to determine who governs you in what's supposed to be a democracy. As far as the social equality, that's a pretty much made up concept. If you accept somebody treating you like you're not worthy of respect and you sit around and try to get them to like you, there's something wrong with you. Why are you might have seen this cartoon. I always think about this. Dr. Seuss was trying to teach us something about the star-bellied sneetches. Did you ever see that Dr. Seuss?
Mm-mm.
Well, basically, it was about
I probably did, but I don't
two kind of
remember. That was so
sneetches.
far
One
away.
had
Yeah.
stars on their belly, the other didn't. And the ones that had stars on their belly, they had formed their own exclusive clubs, and they wouldn't play with the ones that didn't have stars on their bellies. And they would play their games and have their parties, and they didn't invite the ones that didn't have the stars on their bellies. So somebody invented a machine where the ones who didn't have the stars on their bellies could go and get a star stamped on their bellies so they could be accepted by the star-bellied sneetches. Well, the whole point of it is, at the end of the show, they kind of realize, okay, it really don't matter if you got stars or don't have stars. But I would look at that, and I must have been watching those 4, 5, 6 years old, whatever, and I thought, why didn't the ones who didn't have stars on their bellies just go in and have their own parties and have their own games and have their own fun? Why did they need these other people to approve of them? And that was the point I think Dr. Seuss was trying to help people see who were obsessed about social inclusion, is that you don't need people to accept you. Get your own. You know, enjoy
And
I think we were freer when we were under segregation and we had our own
absolutely.
stores, our own
Absolutely. I totally agree.
enterprises, our own schools, than trying to get somebody to accept us. And then our self-esteem plummeted so low because the standard of acceptance was, well, you got to look like them, talk like them, walk like them, think like them. And if you didn't, then you weren't accepted by them.
We got brainwashed.
Yeah.
We got hoodwinked.
Yes, we
Now, let's talk about that because this fits right in with what I'm saying and you're saying. We're from two different schools of thought, but Rosewood was an isolated community that had its own everything, prosperity, everything. And a white person lied on somebody, which caused other white folks to uproar and cause a massacre, which is what happened not just in Rosewood, but in many. Like they talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes.
Same type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So during that era, white folks felt like they had a right to destroy what black folks had created for themselves and then were self-sustaining. Okay. And even now, to this day, in 2022, 2023, in Ghana and in Atlanta, there are communities who have begun the process of establishing communities for nothing but themselves. And they don't need nothing on the outside. They just want to build their own banks, own homes, build everything exclusively away from Europeans. Okay? Wonderful concept. I totally agree with it. On the continent of Ghana, Africa, and in the state of Georgia. Now, the danger in that is when a white person or European decides that we don't want this to be successful, and they launch a secret society like the KKK or the Rough Riders or whatever entity that they decide to come with, the Republican Party, whatever entity that they decide to come with, to come against that. Because somebody gonna sit at a round table and say that we don't want them to be successful because that's money we ain't gonna be able to get out of them. We need them to still be consumers in the state of Georgia, buying power from us, buying goods and service from us, because we need their money. Okay? So if we don't recognize that these entities still exist, then we'll be sitting there like sitting ducks, waiting to be attacked. Now, I'm going to tell you something about myself. You know, folks going to look at me and say, no, not you. I grew up during the civil rights movement, okay, during the 60s. I saw protests. I saw segregation in schools. I had to fight white folks all my life. I went to high school in Harvey, where we had race riots every year.
All my life I had to fight.
And it's the truth, because I'm a big dude, okay? So I had to protect those that were around me, that looked like me, that were not able to defend themselves. So I had to protect my brothers and sisters, okay? These big rednecks, they was coming for us, and they wasn't playing fair. We called them greasers back in high school, okay? That was the name of the gang that had hatred in their heart to come after us. I was 30 years old before I began to like white people. And that's a long time of a person's life to be of a mentality that anybody white, I gotta fight. And that was real. This ain't nothing that's made up. This ain't out no movie. This is my life, what I had to deal with. And protecting my brothers and sisters was my responsibility and my job. We had togetherness. Okay? I remember when the police used to come through the high school and they would jump on the black students because it was our fault. They didn't care what we was protesting about or what we was upset about. We ain't got no rights. We're not human. The Dred Scott Law said that black folks were not human. So law enforcement treated us like we were not human. Even to this day, the mentality still exists. So I applaud all of these communities that are coming together, but what are they prepared to do to protect and defend what they're doing?
So this is my thought on that. And what you're saying about the era that you grew up in, I mean, all of that's real. That mentality where people were literally fighting just because your skin is different than mine. Now, of course, that is the height of stupidity, but that is a collective stupidity that we all participated in. And it had its economic roots in the slave experience. We understand that. At some point, as a human family, we have to evolve to a higher level intelligence, a higher level of intelligence that does not allow us to do violence at each other just because. And we are evolving to that higher level of intelligence. Now, there's some of us who are not going to get there, and that's their choice. So again, I point to what's happening in the Middle East. They've been going around and around and around. I have to attack, I have to defend, I have to defend, I have to attack, I have to attack, I have to attack, I have to attack. So like what you said, the Jewish people will not let it be forgotten what happened. So when an atrocity is committed by those very people who are hollering, we've been victims, we've been victims, we've been victims, then the excuse is, yes, but they have to protect themselves against the attack from other people. And the other people, Hamas is saying these people have committed atrocities against us. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to counterattack
Right.
because they're trying to exterminate us. So
Right.
that becomes a never ending battle because both people are hollering victim and vengeance. And unless somebody chooses to teach the children differently, they will continue that generation after generation after generation. Just like what is that classic Family Feud, the Hatfields and the McCoys, where they're just killing each
Mm-hmm.
other. You get to the point where you can't even remember what the argument
Just
was.
because they got just because they got a different name than what they had.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
that insanity. Now there are people. Matter of fact, we did a show. One of our hosts did a show about what was the name of the school? Um, I think the Orchard of Abraham is the name of the school, which has both Muslims and Jews attending, and the children are learning brother and sisterhood. They're learning that we all come from a common ancestor. We all are part of the human family. So they're learning a different philosophy. Now there are other schools that teach them, well, the Jews are your natural enemy, the Muslims are your natural enemy. That kind of thinking is self-destructive. So you have people on that end teaching you can't trust these people. They're going to kill you one day, so we got to be ready to kill them first. And then you got people teaching we're not going to live like that anymore. We're going to be human beings of higher consciousness, and we're going to live according to love. You have two opposing philosophies. Which one do you think is going to win? You think the violence is going to win? No, it's not. It's going to self-destruct. Those people are going to continue until they self-destruct, and that's a choice that they've made. They have the same power to choose the love, the peace, the harmony,
and
the
and and
cooperation.
and then even speaking of that, it is dividing line right down the middle of America.
Hmm.
There are those that support the Palestinians and there are those that support the Jews, and everybody on each side is deciding to hold a stronghold to say that just because you believe or support the Palestinians, you're a natural enemy of the
Right,
Jews,
right.
and that's even right here in America. Now,
Right
now we're
here.
thousands of miles away. So everybody else's battle, is undershadowed because this battle is bigger. Case in point, we still got Russia and Ukraine
Hmm.
fighting over tyranny,
Right. Yeah.
but yet it ain't the front news headline no more.
And
You know what I'm saying?
that's why those of us with media organizations, we have to redefine what is news, what's reality, what's important. Because if if we keep everybody focused on a battle that is overseas that other people have chosen to keep going, then we'll be in a constant state of fear and anxiety. And that's not the reality that we're experiencing right now. Yeah, I'm living in Chicago. People might say this is one of the most dangerous cities in the world. I'm not experiencing danger. I'm experiencing people who are kind and loving because that's what I'm projecting. That's what I am putting out in the universe.
You
That's what's coming
attract, we
back
were
to me.
just talking about this
Absolutely.
before the show. You
You get what
attract what you are,
absolutely. So
you
if you
know?
keep putting war in your mind, you will attract conflict in your life. So this
Right.
is why if we're media organizations with the same power to reach the billions of people on this planet as everybody else, because we're all connected through the internet, then let's do our job and change the minds, change the image, change the story. Because even
Change the narrative.
even with a situation like Rosewood, now we could say, well, you can't trust these white people because as soon as we get our own thing, they're gonna come and destroy it. And we could live in fear and therefore not create the thing that we could create and keep making the excuse, well, we don't want them to tear it down like they did before. Well, number one, the world is not as it was. There are too many people carrying weapons, too many civilians carrying weapons for anybody to overtake anybody's neighborhood like that again.
Like they used to.
So that's not going to happen. We need to first know that. The second thing is that whole attack, what was the real reason for it? It was the jealousy that the white community had because of this thriving black community that was circulating their money, didn't need them, and was flourishing greater than they were flourishing. It was pure and simple jealousy. That's all it was.
Yep.
And so if we
But
know
that's
that
but
that's what
that's
it was,
usually the mentality of a European, and to take somebody else's stuff. They came over here all the way from where they was living at, and went to Africa. They went to the indigenous people here, wiped them all out, because they wanted to take what they had.
so if you know that the underlying thing that makes people attack is their own insecurity and their own fear of their own inadequacy, then why would you allow those people to convince you that you are inadequate and you are of lesser intelligence to the point where you start underperforming and you don't build your own schools, you don't establish your own businesses, you don't establish your own culture? Why would you allow that when the reason why they attacked you is because they actually feel inferior to you?
Hmm.
Otherwise, they would not be attacking you. They'd be doing their own things instead of trying to take yours.
Which is why I say stay on your guard.
Well, if you are doing what you have the power to do, then you don't have to worry about what other people might do. You really
Well,
don't.
keep an eye on them. That's all I'm saying. Keep an eye on them. Look, we got about 10 minutes. We didn't had a whole debate.
Well, I think,
Booker T. Washington on your side.
when you think about, and that's one thing that we're doing now. We're about to launch
Uh huh.
a school online,
Okay.
the New Earth Homeschool Academy online. And our
Okay.
whole purpose is to change thought. Stop
Mm-hmm.
thinking that other people have a power over you that you don't have. Stop believing that
Right.
other people have the power to stop you from becoming the great creator that you are. So
Right.
whenever we start this argument of, well, they need to teach, they're not teaching our children in public school, but they know they're not giving us, nothing that anybody has is something that you don't also have the power to acquire.
Absolutely.
So if we stop giving people more power than they have, then we can focus on the power that we do have. There's nothing stopping us
Absolutely.
from creating our own schools. People get Booker T. Washington and Mary McLeod Bethune. They created colleges coming out of slavery. So what excuse
Yep.
do we have? We got college degrees and own land and homes and all of that. What excuse
But
do we have for
but
not having
now
our own schools?
now you're gonna make me start a whole nother debate. We're gonna have to do this on another show. But then once folks achieve a certain level of achievement, they separate themselves, and they don't want to have nothing to do with reaching back, helping other people achieve to where they have gotten. Now that's another whole debate. We got 10 minutes. Don't make me go
10
there,
minutes to
because
save the world.
yeah. Look. Um, you and I have talked about being controversial. I'm controversial because of my background. Okay, like I said, I was 30 years old before I even began to start liking white people. Okay, and I was in the
Yes.
city of New Orleans, Louisiana when it happened. Okay, so I saw something different in New Orleans that I had not been exposed to before, and that allowed me to be able to release my battle, with the whole race of people. I remember when I went to, and this is, you know, uh, another life experience. I went to Scotland,
Mm,
okay, and I know racism from growing up in America.
mm-hmm.
I'm in a taxi, and I said the wrong thing. I say all you Brits or people are the same. Now I'm in Scotland. Okay, so he hurry up and corrected me
Yeah,
and
they
let
have
me
not
know
did it.
that they do not like the British
Yeah, they have had
under
horror.
no circumstance.
Yeah.
Under no circumstance, they hate.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Irish, they hate. Everybody hates the British.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, but I was like, so how is that possible? All y'all white. How can you all hate each other when y'all the same color? And I caught a revelation. I was like, it's not about the skin color, it's the spirit.
Yes,
Okay?
that
And
is
that
it.
spirit is alive and well
That is
throughout the whole world.
yes.
So I caught it. Okay, but it took me to go to Scotland to understand that. Okay,
Yeah.
so the people here, it ain't about our skin color, it's about the
The
spirit
spirit.
of racism and hatred that exists that go along with
Yes.
that spirit.
That is the bottom line, and that is why our focus is to join with people of like spirits.
There you go.
And those are the people who will shape the world of the future, because
Absolutely.
that world is not based on people who are resentful and jealous of others because they feel inadequate, or people who are fearful and believe they have to take what other people have, or people who are violent and feel like if they don't kill others before they get killed, then they'll always be victims. None of that mentality is going to exist in the new earth, because people of a higher consciousness, of people who are spiritually evolved, people who look beyond the outer covering, they are the ones who are going to be shaping the systems that we live by. And this is what we're instilling in our children, so that they're not living in fear. They're not living in suspicion. They're not living as victims, believing that others have a power over them that they have no control over. That's the mentality. That's what we have to undo in our own minds. That fear-based thinking that there is a powerful group that controls our destiny. That's what slavery did to us, making us think that white skin was somehow an all omnipotent power, and it isn't. You got little puny people scared all the time, worried that somebody else is going to have something they don't have, angry because they can't uh, make themselves appear superior in the world, and that's all. And why would you fear people like that? They're just the same as everybody else. You're going to live a few years and then you're gone. So what power
Absolutely.
do you have? None. So we have to stop
Right.
giving people power that they don't have. They
Right.
don't have it.
Absolutely. So I was going to, ask you a question early on, and we never got to it, on what you look forward to in 2024, but I think you answered the question.
Yeah,
Absolutely. A better
look forward.
place in the world,
Yes, I look forward to being a part
that
of that.
you're going to be instrumental in helping to create.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for sharing that. You and your media, empire, you got your work cut out for you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Of
I know y'all won't be inviting me to do no lectures
course we
because
will.
I'm be,
Absolutely. You will always be invited.
because I'm gonna be putting a different,
Keep on the empire.
understanding, understanding of how we had to fight to overcome,
The biggest battle
and
is within ourselves.
yes,
When you win
so
that battle,
thank
you've
you.
won them all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for being the powerful ambassador for peace and love that you are. I just, I just, you know, I just can't thank you enough. You know. So we got a couple of minutes left. Now they have your email. I'm sorry, your website information right underneath your name. They can go to your website and see all of the places that they can find your broadcasting
Yeah,
and all of your information out there
yeah.
that's going on with what you do. So I just can't thank you enough. So I want to ask two questions. You know what they are. First question: will you come back and see me again?
Always.
Thank you. And then, what would you like to leave with the people before you depart today?
You create your own reality with your thoughts. So be aware of what you are thinking, so that you can consciously manifest that which you desire. This isn't just a cliche, this is real. So keep your eyes on your prize so that you can attain it in this lifetime. That's why you're here.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Once again, I love you. I appreciate you. I do have love in my heart. I know you probably don't think so, but I do. But I
Believe
safeguard. I safeguard, things like that so that people don't have access to be able to do me any harm, because I've been in battles, many battles in my life. As a protector, I have to be that way.
One day
You know,
we'll have a show and we'll talk about the power of your own energy to repel an attack. We'll talk about
there you go. So that means you're gonna have to come back. You might be able to use me as a clinical study.
absolutely.
Thank you so very much. I love you. You be safe. I'm sure you're gonna get me back real soon, early in the morning.
Yes, I am.
So you stay right there. We're gonna end the show. I want to invite you guys to join me on Wednesday, tomorrow at 12 noon, for the Street News Now Noon Report. I am so looking forward to talking about what's going on in the world and our broken government again. Also join me each and every Saturday at 12 noon from the desk of Dr. Ron. Thank you guys so very much for joining me, where I get a chance to tell you what's on my heart each and every Saturday. And don't forget about each and every Sunday evening, where I do a Black History Moment. I'm looking forward to talking about another massacre. So we can keep these massacres out there in front of these folks. But yeah, I talk about other things as well. One thing I meant to talk about this past weekend was the independence of Haiti. Haiti is celebrating its independence that took place on January the 1st as well. So that's another historical event that took place. Haiti got its independence on January the 1st. So thank you guys for joining me. Please continue to make contributions. These are all the ways that you can make contributions. I want to thank all those that supported me in 2023. Please continue to do so. And while you're here, please hit that subscribe button so you'll get notified each and every time that I go live. I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys on tomorrow. You stay blessed. See you on tomorrow, y'all.